It is a cold morning in the spring of 1918. The world is completely consumed by war. Millions of young men are fighting in the muddy, blood-soaked trenches of Europe. You read the newspapers every single day. You are looking for updates from the front lines. But a different kind of killer is quietly brewing in the background. Suspenseful. Where did it actually come from? Despite the famous name, this disease does not start in Spain. It likely begins in a small farming community in Haskell County, Kansas. A local doctor notices a strange, violent respiratory illness among the residents. Young, healthy farmers are dropping like flies. Before anyone can contain it, the sickness spreads to a nearby military base. Camp Funston is packed with over 50,000 soldiers. They are actively training to join the Great War. They sleep in massively crowded barracks. They eat in huge communal mess halls. They cough. They sneeze. The invisible enemy spreads like wildfire. Urgent. Soon these infected soldiers board massive troop ships. They cross the Atlantic Ocean. They land in France. They bring the sickness directly into the packed trenches. The conditions are wet, cold, and miserable. It is the absolute perfect breeding ground for a virus. At first, you do not panic. The first wave of this sickness hits your city in early 1918. It just feels like a normal seasonal cold. You wake up with a slight cough. Your head aches. Your joints feel like they are made of heavy lead. The government tells you not to worry. They tell you to keep working at the factory. You ride a crowded streetcar to your job. You cough into your bare hand. You are unknowingly spreading it to everyone around you. Because nations are at war, they censor the press. Britain, Germany, and the United States ban any negative news about the sickness. They do not want to destroy public morale. But Spain is neutral in the war. Their newspapers freely report on the terrifying outbreak because they are the only ones telling the truth. The world assumes the virus originated there. That is why everyone calls it the Spanish flu. But the truth is, the virus is already everywhere. By the fall of 1918, the virus mutates. The second wave arrives. This time, it is an absolute nightmare. You look out your window. The streets are suddenly empty. A few days ago, your neighbor fell ill. Then the baker down the street. Then the policeman on the corner. You watch medical workers carrying people out on canvas stretchers. Wow, what is happening to their faces? You see patients with skin turning a horrifying shade of dark blue or purple. This terrifying symptom is called heliotrope cyanosis. The virus is so aggressive that it completely destroys the lining of the lungs. The lungs fill with fluid and blood. The patients are literally suffocating to death in their own beds. They are gasping for air that they cannot absorb. Dramatic pause. You want to protect your family. But how do you fight something you cannot see? The local government finally issues strict emergency orders. You are told to wear a gauze mask at all times. You are forbidden to spit on the sidewalk. You must avoid all crowded places. You tie a piece of white cheesecloth over your face. It feels hot and suffocating. It is incredibly uncomfortable. Some people refuse to wear them entirely. In San Francisco, a group of citizens even forms an anti-mask league to aggressively protest the mandate. Do they not realize the absolute danger they are in? You desperately visit the local pharmacy. You are looking for a miracle cure. The shelves are almost completely bare. Desperate people are buying anything they can find. You see people wearing small bags of pungent camphor around their necks. They think the strong smell will ward off the invisible disease. It does absolutely nothing. The local doctor tells you to take aspirin. The medical authorities highly recommend massive doses of it to reduce the terrible fevers. They tell you to take up to 30 grams a day. We know today that this incredible amount is highly toxic. It causes severe hyperventilation. It actually causes fluid buildup in the lungs. You and thousands of others are unknowingly poisoning yourselves while desperately trying to find a cure. The death toll skyrockets. The system completely collapses. There are simply not enough wooden coffins. There are not enough healthy gravediggers. You see devastated families burying their loved ones in massive, unmarked trench graves. The hospitals are overflowing with the dying. They have to set up emergency cots in schools and open fields. You see the sheer, unbridled panic in the eyes of the surviving doctors. Will this nightmare ever end? Your entire city shuts down. Schools are closed indefinitely. Saloons and bars are locked tight. Movie theaters are completely dark. The economy grinds to an absolute halt. The only way you survive is through extreme isolation. You lock your doors. You sit quietly by the fireplace. You boil all your water. You wash your hands with harsh lye soap until the skin is red and raw. You completely cut yourself off from the outside world. Every time someone knocks on the door, your heart races. Urgent. You do not answer it. You cannot risk letting the air inside. In Philadelphia, city officials ignore the warnings. They host a massive Liberty Loan parade to raise money for the war. 200,000 people gather on the streets. They cheer, they sing, they breathe on each other. Within days, every single hospital bed in the city is full. Within weeks, over 12,000 citizens in that single city are dead. Dramatic pause. You read about this in the paper, and you pull your curtains tighter. By the time the pandemic finally burns itself out in 1920, the world is forever changed. The virus has infected roughly 500 million people. That is 1/3 of the entire global population at the time. It has taken an estimated 50 million lives. It killed more people in 24 months than the horrific Great War did in 4 years. You survived the trenches of the virus. You lived to see the dawn of the roaring 20s. The world tries to quickly forget the trauma and move on. But you will never forget the chilling silence of those empty streets. You will never forget the blue faces. Suspenseful will humanity be ready when the next invisible enemy strikes?